Boys, I know the title a little bit clickbaity, but I am genuine when I say that this is one of the most important things that you can do in Path of Exile to make tons of money. One of the things that can make you the most money out of pretty much anything in the game. Path of Exile is one of those games where knowledge, understanding, and being able to interpret things is significantly more important than how good you are at playing it, if that makes sense. I would say that knowledge is probably 75 to 80% of the difficulty of this game. So hear me out before you're like, this guy is like, haha, clickbait, downvote. That helps me out anyways, so thanks, by the way. So the thing I'm talking about is being able to identify and capture markets in Path of Exile. This means that finding some kind of opening, finding some kind of discrepancy between the prices of two things, or finding a different way to obtain an item that ends up making it cheaper than what it's actually selling for. Now, unfortunately, due to the way that these markets work, I cannot give you any concrete examples right now without absolutely destroying those markets. However, I will give you a few examples that I found that have already pretty much been used. Now remember, boys, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to give this video a like. Also consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, hitting that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest videos. And without further ado, let's get into it. So now what am I talking about and how do we do this? So when I say capture a market, when I say find discrepancies in the market, what I'm talking about is finding a way to create an item that is significantly cheaper than what the finalized item is selling for. There are tons of these that exist out in the market in Path of Exile. You just need to know where to look for them. The main way that you're going to find these is by learning how to craft gear for the builds that are very popular at any given time. Now, most of the things that I'm going to show you right now are not going to function whatsoever because they've already been completely saturated, but I do want to show you the ideas of what I found. So I was playing the Phantasmal Cremation build recently, and if you look at Phantasmal Cremation, you'll see a normal Phantasmal Cremation around 10, 12, maybe even 13 Exalt, depending on how commonly people are buying these up. Phantasmal Cremation, extremely expensive. Now, I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, so these are super expensive, can I make them for cheaper? And if you don't know, you can make different alt quality gems by using a certain item called a prime regrading lens. Now this prime regrading lens, what it does is it changes it into one of the other qualities of whatever that gem is. Primary regrading lenses work on skills and secondary regrading lenses work on supports. So the idea is at the time when I was buying primary regrading lenses, there were about 100 chaos. However, there are 150 now, and you can see there's almost none of them existing. The main reason for this was that Heist was bugged, I guess, as they could say, and Gianna unveils were significantly cheaper than they should have been, or they were like unveiling, yeah, I think they were cheaper. That's been nerfed now, so there's not really a lot of people playing, and Heist just got like a massive nerf, so there's not as many of these anymore, but there were a lot of these previously. I was getting them for as cheap as 100 chaos, maybe even sometimes like 95 chaos. So at the time that I was buying these Phantasmal Cremations, Phantasmal Cremation was like 13 Exalt-ish at the time because there was a lot of people trying to play this build, and the item to make it was only roughly 100 chaos each. Now if we go over to PoEDB and we look at Cremation, you'll see that the weighting for Phantasmal Cremation is roughly 10. Now, if you are taking a normal cremation and trying to change it into Phantasmal Cremation, you've got 160 weighting that you have to fight against, meaning it's a 1 out of 16. However, if you go and buy anomalous cremations and you use this particular item on them, you have a 1 out of 11 chance. At the time, anomalous cremations were like 5 to 10 chaos, so if the item was roughly 13 Exalt, and I think Exalts at the time were like 130, but you could make it on average for 105 to 110 chaos times 11, there is a discrepancy there, meaning that if the total cost of them would be, I'm just going to pull up a calculator, if the total cost of them was 130 times 13 was the normal cost in chaos, so 1690 chaos is what it would cost to just straight out buy it, versus on average, if you're spending 110 chaos times 11, that's only 1200 chaos. There's like a 400 to 500 discrepancy there. So on average, if you had enough money to be able to invest into this market and there was enough of them existing, you could potentially, every single time that you made this item, you could make 400 to 500 chaos. Now, the thing about this is that you have to be careful on not over investing into these kinds of markets. you should test these markets very carefully first. You should see if it's actually viable, because one thing that people get wrong a lot of the time is that they see, oh, this item is on the trade website for like 15 Exalt. That doesn't mean that it's selling for 15 Exalt. That means that some people have priced it at that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's selling. So you have to be careful with these kinds of things. Right now, there's probably not a lot of people who care to play Phantasmal Cremation right now. There's probably at least a few, so they probably will sell, but you do have to be careful. These kinds of things work better on builds that are just starting to gain popularity, like say a prominent build creator puts out a guide and they are just starting to pick up in a little bit of popularity. Once things have been completely saturated, other people have already found these things. But that is the idea. So there's like a 400 to 500 chaos discrepancy that was there, where if I would have invested in that heavily and just kept trying to make Phantasmal Cremations, I could have earned 400 to 500 chaos every single time that I made one. Now, this isn't the only way that you can do something like this. I saw another one today, however, I don't actually feel that this was a market that I could capture. I felt that it was something that is one of those situations where I don't actually know that people would buy them. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to get an Astral Plate, and I wanted a 6-link Warlord's Astral Plate, right? So I search up Warlord's Influence, I look up 6-link, and I look up eye level 86. That's what I wanted. So item level 86, we're going to have to do non-unique, we're going to have to do not corrupted, and we're going to look and see what buying a Warlord's Plate is. The first one that you see here is about 2 Exalt. Next one that you see, 3.5, 4, 5, 5, 5, etc., 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 right? The main problem here is that you see these prices. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are selling at these prices. This is most likely just because no one really wants these items. If you notice, there's very few of these, and as you go up and up into more, you'll notice that after only a few Warlord's Plates, you're getting into items that people actually crafted, right? These bases just don't exist. So this is one of those situations where I think that if you found it, you should be careful, because I don't actually know that they'll sell. Because if you were trying to obtain a 6-link eye level 86 Astral Plate Warlord Enchanted, you could make this for a little bit cheaper. So if we simply just take off Warlord Influence and we look for a 6-link eye level 86 Astral Plate, it's 1 Exalt, right? That's it. Exalts are currently like 160 or something right now. It's 1 Exalt. And then if you look at a Warlord's Exalted Orb, if we go into Chaos, into Warlord's Exalted Orb, Warlord's Exalted Orb is like 80 Chaos, 80, 85 Chaos. So this is only 1.5 Exalt to be able to make this item that you're looking for, instead of it being 2 or 3.5 or 4. Now, this is a way that you could save a little bit of money, but do I think this is one of those markets that you can capture where you can actually do something with it? Probably not. This just seems like there's not a lot of demand for this particular chess piece right now, because there's not a lot of people playing. Not that many people care about having like a 6-link Warlord's Astral Plate, so I wouldn't do this as a market. However, you can still save some money by knowing how to make the base item yourself, or at least thinking about how you would make the base item yourself. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that you should, if you want to be very good at Path of Exile and you want to be successful and you want to make lots of currency, one of the best things that you can do is just think even just 1 or 2 layers deeper on any one particular thing that you do. If you are like, okay, I'm playing a popular build and I need to make this chess piece, well, let me just go buy it. That's the easiest way. That's the very surface level thinking of like, hey, I need this item. But you should think to yourself, okay, well, if I go look in this item that I need and it's like 5 Exalt to buy this item, well, how do I make it? You go and figure out how to make it. You spend like maybe 5 or 10 minutes trying to figure that out, and you're like, oh, it only cost me 3 Exalt to make this item. That's significantly cheaper. And then you figure out, well, I can make this item for 3 Exalt, and then I can craft it a little bit, and suddenly it's worth like 8 Exalt. And I've only spent 4. You can find these markets like this. You just have to figure them out, see how to craft these items, and as you gain more and more knowledge over time, you'll get better at this. And this is one of the main facets of spending less money, making more money out of the money that you do have, and just being successful in trade in Path of Exile. And that is going to be it for the video. I hope you learned a decent amount about maybe one higher level of thinking when it comes to playing Trade League in Path of Exile. These kinds of things are stuff that you do just kind of learn over time, but hopefully what this video can do is can at least get you on the process of thinking about, well, maybe I should look a little bit deeper into the things that I do. Because As I said previously, if I give you direct examples of things, it completely destroys the market on them instantly. So this is really something that you have to find yourself. I know most people, when they look up a Path of Exile currency video, they're like, ooh, I want to know exactly how to do it step by step by step, but that's honestly not really the way that you gain real wealth in Path of Exile. You need to learn how to find these things for yourself and how to explore and what to actually look for. Once you start figuring out, hey, if I figure out how to craft this item and I can sell this item for more than the parts that it, requires to make it, I can make a lot of money off of that. Once you start thinking like that, instead of just thinking like a consume, I need to just farm currency in this map and then buy an item, you will be able to make more money, spend less money on making those items, and just be substantially more successful. So remember, boys, if you enjoy this content, make sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that notification bell, and stay safe out there in Rayclast. And I'll see you guys in the next video.